Let me now introduce our next research speaker. Our next speaker is an architect whose work reflects a deep appreciation for both modern design and heritage preservation. He is the principal architect of 𝗣𝘍𝗀𝗃 Architects, with notable projects including the National Museum of Natural History in Manila, the Building in Intramuros, and the award-winning Quilawan Farm Resort in Batangas. A modernist by philosophy, he is also deeply involved in the conservation of significant architectural sites. He represents the Philippines in the International Scientific Committee on 20th Century Heritage of ICOMOS and previously served as President of the International Committee on Monuments and Sites, or ICOMOS Philippines. This afternoon, he will share his insights on the preservation of Philippine heritage, particularly in relation to the proposed Pasig River Expressway, or PAREX. Please join me in warmly welcoming Architect 𝗣𝘍𝗀𝗃, Principal Architect of 𝗣𝘍𝗀𝗃 Architects. Mga kalikasang araw po, Architect 𝗍𝗀𝗃. Welcome to Kamayan Firm.
Magandang hapon sa inyo. Maraming salamat. Let me just share my presentation. What I'm representing actually, as mentioned, I'm a past president of ICOMOS Philippines. ICOMOS is the international organization that helps UNESCO assess and monitor the UNESCO World Heritage List. So we have an active branch of ICOMOS here in the Philippines. And ICOMOS, along with the Heritage Conservation Society, late last year, filed a petition with the National Commission of Culture and the Arts to declare Pasig River a national cultural treasure. And then we speak of heritage, and no insightful and profound discussion of heritage in Manila and in the Philippines, even at large, is complete without mentioning the Pasig River. So let me begin that. So I'm thankful. By the way, there are names here on the lower right of the slide. We were a team who prepared this petition. ICOMOS president was Dr. 𝗘𝘅𝗽𝗿𝗀, Heritage Conservation Society, whose president is architect 𝗣𝗍𝗀𝗃, and then myself, Lilian Manahan, Cristina Paterno, and attorney Mark Evidente. So let me start with this quotation from Nick Joaquin. Manila took a long time to make. What is now its ground used to be sea. No one knows how long it took to turn sea into land, but we do know who built a site for Manila. The builder was the Pasig River. So there are four key arguments in our petition, and I will go through them one by one, but in broad strokes, the Pasig River is fundamentally significant as a foundational element in the history of the Philippine nation. Two, the Pasig River is architecturally significant in shaping the form and architecture of Manila and influencing the rest of the Philippines. Three, the Pasig River is spiritually, culturally, and socially significant in shaping our identity, and in shaping our identity as communities, and shaping our identity as a nation. And fourth, the Pasig River is of unique and outstanding cultural significance, worthy of designation as a national cultural treasure. So the first argument, the Pasig River is a living witness to the history of the Philippines, having played a central role in the political, economic, and cultural development of Manila and the surrounding region from pre-colonial times to the present day. As a vital waterway connecting Manila and Laguna de Bay, it has witnessed the development of pre-colonial communities, the Spanish colonial period, revolutionary struggles, and the profound transformations brought by industrialization and urbanization. Its historical importance is immense, as the river has long served as a vital artery for transportation, commerce, settlement, and cultural exchange. So the image on the left shows the Laguna copper plate inscription It's the earliest known calendar-dated written document found in the Philippines, dating to 900 CE. This was discovered at the mouth of the 𝗣𝘀𝗃 River in Lumban, Laguna, and its inscription mentions Tondo, a polity, a political unit located in the Pasig River Delta, along with other places like Paila, Pulilan, and Binwangan. Its reference to Tondo provides important evidence of an established political and trading community in the Pasig River region as early as the 10th century, while also demonstrating the Philippines' connections with other Southeast Asian societies. On the right, we see image of the archaeological excavations in Santa Ana, Manila, conducted by the National Museum beginning in 1966, uncovering a major pre-colonial trading settlement dating from the 12th to 15th centuries. The excavations revealed more than 70 burials accompanied by abundant Chinese ceramics from the Song and Ming dynasties, providing evidence of extensive early trade between communities along the Pasig River and China. Then moving to the Spanish colonial era, Legazpi recognized Luzon's strategic and commercial potential, seeing it as a springboard for establishing links with China, Ryukyu, or now Okinawa, and Japan. Luzon was already part of Southeast Asia's maritime trading networks, with Manila serving as an entrepot for Chinese, Japanese, and other Asian goods. Legazpi saw Manila's potential as a global entrepot. This was realized through the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade, which connected Asian markets with the Americas and became a major force in early modern globalization. And the Pasig River was essential to the galleon trade. The Pasig River corridor was central to the development of many of the country's early business enterprises. This included pillars of the national economy, such as El Banco Español Filipino de Isabel II, Isabel II, which later became the Bank of the Philippine Islands, the Manila Electric Railroad and Light Company, now Meralco. On the upper right, ironically, San Miguel Brewery near Malacañang, which later became San Miguel Corporation, and the Pacific Commercial Company, or Citibank, now in the Juan Luna building here on the lower right, across Juan Luna from El Hogar. So these were buildings that were built along the Pasig River, availing of that visual and geographic proximity to this major waterway. If you notice that in El Hogar, this building that my mouse is circling, that penthouse was built so that people could see their boats coming into the river. During World War II, the Pasig River played an important strategic role in the Battle of Manila in 1945, with intense fighting occurring along and near its banks. The battle devastated Manila, severely affecting communities, infrastructure, and historic sites surrounding the river. In the post-war period, the Pasig River continued to serve as an important artery for transportation, commerce, and everyday life, demonstrating its enduring role in the development and recovery of Manila. After the 1945 Battle of Manila, the Pasig River and its infrastructure became critical to the city's recovery. In the decades after World War II, the Pasig River deteriorated severely as industrialization, rapid urbanization, untreated wastewater, poor waste management, and the growth of informal settlements placed increasing pressure on the river and its banks. By the 1990s, the river was widely considered biologically dead. As the river became increasingly polluted, communities and urban development became progressively disconnected from it. Yet, and this is a very important point, this deterioration does not diminish the Pasig River's cultural significance. Rather, it forms part of its continuing history, a record of the profound changes experienced by Manila and the nation, and of the continuing efforts to restore the river and its relationship with the communities along its banks. Despite the challenges it faces, the Pasig River remains an essential part of Metro Manila's ecological system, connecting Laguna de Bay to Manila Bay and receiving water from a network of major and minor tributaries. It plays an important role in the movement of water through the metropolis and in the health of its surrounding waterways. And you all very well know how important the movement of water is to the health and life of the city. And if there isn't enough way for the water to move, you can see what happens. Its ecological condition is therefore inseparable from the environmental well-being and resilience of Metro Manila. Argument 2. The Pasig River is architecturally significant in shaping the urban morphology and civic architecture of Manila and influencing in turn the rest of the nation. The Pasig River, with its gentle curves and rhythmic tidal flow, has shaped the city's development from its pre-colonial roots to the modern metropolis we see today. As the primary axis of the city, the Pasig River has framed the construction of Manila's most iconic structures, serving as both a physical and symbolic backbone, and in turn, as a national capital, set the pattern for urban development in many of the country's cities. But we begin with even during the Spanish era, Intramuros was an early expression of Spanish colonial urban planning that preceded the 1573 laws of the Indies, and that experience in Intramuros also contributed to that later law, because Manila was established earlier than the laws, but the lessons learned in Manila helped contribute to the law. While the ordinances of the law of the Indies drew on a broader colonial tradition, Intramuros embodied principles later codified and replicated across the Spanish Empire. Grid layouts, plaza and civic buildings, alongside attention to water and navigable waterways. So the Pasig was already so essential. In Manila, these principles were adapted to the landscape. Intramuros stood at the mouth of the Pasig River, connecting the city to Manila Bay and inland waterways. Daniel Burnham, the great American architect who created this 1905 plan for Manila, recognized the Pasig River as a crucial element of both the natural and built environment. In his report on proposed improvements at Manila from June 28, 1905, he wrote, "The banks of the Pasig should have shaded drives beginning as close to town as possible and continuing up the river. The South Bank Drive going to Fort McKinley and beyond this to the lake." Just the words conjure this beautiful image, a beautiful image that we can still reclaim, by the way. The Pasig and its esteros thus became a civic and scenic axis in Burnham's City Beautiful vision, integrating waterways, transportation, public space, and urban beauty into a more connected Manila. That's the core. You know, for some reason, we observe that the relationship between environmental sanity and urban beauty is in an intrinsic relationship. So when you start thinking of solutions do not contribute to urban beauty, for some reason that also has a relationship to environmental insanity. So here are some structures that are built on or near the Pasig River, important in the canon of Philippine architecture, such as Malacañang on the upper left, First United Building in Escolta on the right, El Hogar, the building on the lower right, that along the Pasig River with that penthouse from which people could watch the boats come into the Pasig, the Manila Central Post Office, with its access to the Pasig River, that mail came in through boats that plied the Pasig River. It disembarked from the boats and went through the building and then out through the other side to the lobby where people received their mail in the grand lobby of the Manila Central Post Office. And then, of course, the Metropolitan Theater, all these wonderful canonical structures along the Pasig River. The multitude of culturally significant sites in the cities along the Pasig River is inseparable from the river itself. The river has shaped the growth, movement, and identity of Manila and the wider metropolis for centuries. As of September 14, 2025, more than 332 sites are listed in the Philippine Registry of Heritage for the city of Manila, with a further 31 sites in the cities of Pasig, Makati, Mandaluyong, and Taguig. Of the 11,329 sites recorded across the country, more than 478 are located in National Capital Region. Many of these sites reflect Manila's role as a capital of the Philippines and its subsequent growth into a broader metropolis. Yet that development has remained centered on and physically connected by the Pasig River. Manila, as we know it today, and the story of its transformation through the centuries, cannot be understood without the unique environment shaped by the river. Its waters have been a foundation for settlement, commerce, transportation, and urban life, leaving an enduring cultural landscape along its banks. Argument 3. The Pasig River is spiritually, culturally, and socially significant in shaping the identities and lives of communities along its banks, and in turn, the shaping of national identity. The river's significance is comparable to other iconic rivers like the Seine in Paris and the Thames in London, both of which have similarly served as a symbolic lifeblood of their cities. Regarding language, the Pasig River is deeply intertwined with the cultural identity of the Tagalog people, whose name itself is derived from the term Taga-Ilog, meaning people from the river. And you see this red oblong, which shows the extent of the archipelago in which Tagalog is spoken. This etymology reflects the river's vital role in shaping the social fabric of the surrounding communities for centuries. And that identity reverberates through the narrative of a nation that includes over 150 ethno-linguistic groups. In pre-colonial cosmology, the river was revered as a sacred body of water inhabited by deities, embodying both life and death. This reverence ties the river directly to the spiritual and cultural fabric of early Filipino society, reinforcing its central role in their worldview. The Mutya ng Pasig, painted here by Fernando Amorsolo, was a female water goddess or diwata who personified the river's soul as a guardian and moral enforcer, serving as an intermediary between the physical and spiritual worlds, protecting the river and punishing those who disrespect it. So here how the mutya in Amorsolo's painting, the mutya in the music of Nicanor Abelardo, the mutya in the seal of the city of Pasig. What's not shown here is the mutya's nemesis, which was a buwaya that you find occasionally underwater and above water, but we hope will remain underwater and not surface. Significant Catholic churches like the Pro-Cathedral of San Miguel and the Santa Ana Church are located along its banks. During the Spanish colonial era, many Catholic Filipinos would journey by boat along the river to visit these sacred sites, linking the river not only to daily life, but also to religious devotion and cultural continuity. The river served as a site for water festivals, boat races, and religious processions, imbuing the river with a sense of community and collective identity, strengthening its role as a social artery connecting generations. As you know, the Pasig was also used as a conduit for people who went on their pilgrimage to Antipolo. The river took them all the way to the foothills of Antipolo, and then they would go up via other means. The Pasig River in Junto al Pasig, 𝗔𝗍𝗍 and El Filibusterismo by Jose Rizal symbolizes different phases of Rizal's evolving worldview, from its spiritual and moral duality in the play Junto al Pasig to a backdrop of social realities and colonial oppression and cynicism in his later novels, from Ibarra in 𝗔𝗍𝗍 to Simon in El Filibusterismo, reflecting his deepening critique of Philippine society and his hopes for reform. And of course, one of the clearest images of this critique of Philippine society was the 𝗣𝘀𝗶𝗴, that boat that traversed the Pasig River, connecting Manila with Laguna. And other representations, of course, of the Pasig in paintings by Amorsolo and Fabian de la Rosa. So the Pasig has always been a part of the inspiration of the nation's artists. And finally, number 4, the Pasig River is of unique and outstanding cultural significance, worthy of designation as a national cultural treasure. So let me read through these arguments, but you will see in each of these slides as I read through this, these are pictures that I took on a ferry cruise starting in Intramuros and heading all the way to the Laguna de Bay. It's the first time I did this. It was sponsored by the MMDA, and I recommend it to everyone because this ferry ride from Manila Bay to Laguna de Bay was a profound experience for me personally, and it's also a fuel for why I continue. I mean, why am I here, right? Because of what the Pasig has done to my soul, right? So what it's done to the nation's soul. how important it is. So let me read this. Despite centuries of transformation, the Pasig River retains its integrity as a cultural and natural corridor. Its historic course remains legible from Laguna de Bay to Manila Bay, with tributaries, riverbanks, and associated communities continuing to form part of the landscape. The river's authenticity lies not only in its physical continuity, but also in its continuing role in Filipino life as a setting for ritual, livelihood, transport, and cultural memory. Current revival projects, including the ferry service and the riverbank esplanades, as you can see here in the picture in the back of the post office, can be understood not as replacements for this heritage, but as efforts to reconnect contemporary society with the river's historic role as a lifeline of the city. Beyond its role as a geographical feature, the Pasig River is thus a symbol of continuity through Manila's ever-evolving urban landscape. So this is a recapitulation of things I've already said earlier. The Pasig River deserves recognition. The Pasig River deserves recognition as a heritage site because of the unique convergence of natural and cultural value within its relatively short course. Unlike rivers, and this is very important, it's not just a beautiful scenic site. Unlike rivers celebrated primarily for their scale or scenic beauty, the Pasig significance lies in its dense layering of historical, ecological, and urban narratives. It's a tapestry of us. Its tidal and estuarine character creates a dynamic ecosystem that connects inland freshwater and marine environments, while its history reflects centuries of human adaptation, settlement, commerce, and transformation. Few rivers in the world have played such a central role in shaping the identity of a capital while simultaneously embodying broader national histories of colonization, trade, and cultural transformation. National recognition of heritage sites such as Intramuros through Presidential Decree number 1616, the Declaration of Manila Bay by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, and the inclusion of numerous sites in the Philippine Registry of Cultural Property reflect an awareness of the importance of place in shaping Filipino identity. However, these recognitions, while vital, risk presenting a fragmented understanding of national heritage if the Pasig River remains excluded. Intramuros, Manila Bay, and many registered landmarks are historically and spatially connected by the Pasig River, which served as a vital corridor linking sites of colonial power, trade, resistance, and everyday life. To recognize the surrounding monuments and spaces without acknowledging the river is to overlook the very lifeblood that made their histories possible. The absence of the Pasig River from the National Heritage Map is thereby not merely an oversight, but a distortion of the historical and cultural landscape of the capital. Recognizing the river would complete the narrative, restoring coherence to Manila's story and affirming the Pasig River's place as a living heritage corridor. And so, to conclude, in light of its exceptional historical, architectural, social, artistic, and cultural significance, the Pasig River strongly meets the criteria for designation as a national cultural treasure. To recognize Intramuros, Manila Bay, and other heritage sites while continue to overlook the Pasig River is to leave unacknowledged the vital artery that connects them all. So, okay, that is the end of that. But I just want to just share this slide of the page in the Toll Regulatory Board website that explains the project, and have a look at it. But I'm showing this because I want to lead to this image. So this is essentially the diagram. This red snake, that is the Pasig River, right? And so I would like to conclude with this, right? Instead of building Parex, one expensive elevated expressway that concentrates traffic along a single corridor, why not build a distributed network of relatively inexpensive cross-river connections? This would give the public many more ways to cross the river, distribute traffic more evenly, and make the network less dependent on any single corridor, and an ugly corridor at that. So just imagine these multiple bridges, vehicular, pedestrian, connected to a network of ferry stations and a greater presence of these redundant possibilities of moving through the city. And we don't have to look far for examples of this, right? Look at the bridges of our neighboring country, Singapore, and the way that they used bridges to animate both banks of the river, to connect both sides of the city, both sides of the river, but using these bridges to create places, create places that strengthen civic pride, that strengthen sense of community, that contribute to nation building, right? So these are all the things that modes of transportation can do. And just to conclude, look at this bridge, the Alcaf Bridge, one of the most famous bridges in Singapore, painted by 𝗣𝘅𝗽𝗿. So imagine the Pasig River like that, with these beautiful bridges connecting the communities on either side of the river, helping us continue to preserve our heritage. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Architect 𝗣𝘃𝗀𝗃. Wow,
Maraming
that was
salamat po.
such an insightful way for us to appreciate and fully realize how important the Pasig River is to our heritage and culture, no? And as he described, the Pasig River is not merely a river sitting in the middle of the metro and the neighboring towns, no? It is the very body that defined and shaped the development of the communities along its banks throughout the years. So this kind of gives us a vital precedent that Pasig River is indeed a national treasure, an integral part of our culture, which most definitely needs utmost care and protection, from architectural, environmental, social, economic, even all the way to artistic significance. No? So again, thank you, Architect 𝗣𝘃𝗃, for sharing a refreshing perspective on the importance of preserving Philippine heritage, which we can particularly consider in the context of the proposed barracks. No? Much insights as well in the chat box I'm reading, but don't worry, we will entertain those later on in the open forum.